Hello, everyone, and welcome to Different Stages Radio. I'm your host, JJ, broadcasting from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And I got a good one for you today. You know, my next guest from such bands as The Scream, Mötley Crüe, Union, Ratt, and of course, the Dead Daisies, who have a brand new album coming out on September 6th called Light 'Em Up. He also has a book called Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, Tales from the Other Mötley Crüe Singer, Frontman and journeys through a life in and out of rock and roll. That's a mouthful. Please welcome my guest, John Corabi. How are you, sir?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. That's a mouthful.
It is.
Set that back up there again.
Yeah, there you have it.
There you have it. How was that for you?
That was well done. Perfect.
Awesome. No, but how was the book for you?
It was, it was great. It was a little therapeutic, actually, to kind of go back and re-talk about some of these things that, good that happened, and you know what I mean? So it was, there was a few times where I was editing and with my friend Paul Miles, who wrote the book with me. He basically put it in a book form and then sent it to me, and then I would edit, send it back, and then he would edit, and we did this 7 or 8 times. But it was funny when I was doing it. There was a few times where I'm like, ugh, I gotta go make myself either a cup of tea or a Jameson on the rocks, one of the two. But it was good. I'm glad we finally did it. It's out there for people to read, and he was I've known Paul forever, and he's got a website called Crucial Crew, and he was the one that kind of brought it to my attention. He said, you've always been this guy that like does press every time a record's coming out or a tour, and then you kind of disappear. You're not like, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, but I'm not one of those 5 times a day, everyday guys. I'll post something and then maybe a month later post something else. You know what I mean? So he goes, I think, there's people that would want to know how you tick. So we did it. It's out there. It's done. And the response so far has been awesome. It's been pretty cool.
Good for you. Good for you. And I think the response has also been very good that you have returned to the Dead Daisies, and the fact that it's pretty much a year now, I think, since that last run for the beginning of the sort of best of tour. So it's been
Yes.
kind of a year and change since you've been back. So kind of a nice way to bookend that first year by having a all new studio album in the can.
Yeah, they kind of had that set and ready to go when I came back.
Okay.
And my biggest concern, having done the Mötley thing, was okay, great. Like I left the band, and Glenn Hughes, obviously, Glenn's a very dear friend. I've known him forever. But he's a legendary singer, man. He's a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame guy, and just a freak when it comes to singing. And so when David asked me to come back, my biggest concern was, after spending 3 or 4 years with Glenn, are they going to want me to come back? And then we rehearsed. And prior to rehearsals, we did do some videos and kind of teased the fact that I was coming back. And honestly, the response was incredibly positive. And so we did the tour. They already had the best of record in the can. And we went out, we did the tour. And then towards the end of the tour, we said, let's keep this thing rolling and let's do a record. So I guess we finished right before the holidays. We all took some time off with our families. And then I think it was February or March. Yeah, we went into the studio and we started writing and recording for what became the Light 'Em Up record. And it was like, didn't miss a beat. We just got right in and just got to work. And the crazy part is we actually did this record we did 2 records.
Interesting.
So we started writing and recording in Nashville. And then we all had this kind of bucket list studio that we wanted to go to. It was the legendary Fame Studios down in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, where the Swampers and Skinner talks about.
Nice.
And so we went down there and we did some writing and recording there. And while we were there at night, we would just kind of kick our shoes off and have a couple cocktails, and we just start jamming. And we kind of kept everything rolling. And what we did is we in the process of doing the one record, at night we recorded a blues album.
Wow.
So we did I think there's 10 tracks on it.
Nice.
But we did all these classic standard blues songs, and we kind of Dead Daisies them up and kind of did them our own way. But it came out awesome. I was just with Marty last night, and he's like, dude, the blues record is fucking unbelievable. So I'm really stoked about both records we did. But we did 2 records in 29 days.
Good for you.
So,
well, that's the thing. I was really noticing when I was listening to the record that it seems this really has a live, off the floor feel to it, that this was done in a couple weekends. Like there's just, minimal overdubs and pretty, just keep it real, keep it honest.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Daisies have always been like an extremely fast. Every record that I've been involved with the Daisies, we've done in less than a month. And that goes from, same with this record. We would just all go through our phones and like Pro Tools and go, oh, well, that's a cool riff. Let me throw that in. Stuff that wasn't even finished, just riff ideas. And we just put all this stuff in a Dropbox folder so everybody had the chance to live with it. And then when we got into the studio, we set all the gear up and we just sit there in like a circle with Marty.
That's awesome.
And we just go. And it's like we start first riff, we start working it out, we map it out. And then once we get it where it's done, we feel like it's a good map. Then Marty goes, all right, let's track it like 3 or 4 times and put it to bed. And then we move on to the next thing. And it's pretty quick.
So this blues album, though, you're alluding to, will probably be held back for a bit, probably next year, I guess.
I would think, yes.
Yeah, there's no rush.
No, we're I mean, this one's not even out yet.
Exactly.
But the Light 'Em Up record comes out September 6th. We're doing some touring. We did some in the States. Now we're going over to England on September 1st. We're going to rehearse for a couple days and then start the tour on the 6th. We're going to do all of the UK, and then we come home and chill out again for another couple weeks, and then we go back out and go right back to Europe. But we're just kind of getting this thing rolling for the Light 'Em Up record. So I don't know when the blues record's coming out.
Yeah, no rush. It's just something else to look forward to, which is great. But back to Light 'Em Up, listening to that record and really digging, a couple standouts that I wanted to talk about was Back to Zero and Love That'll Never Be and Take My Soul. I found those were a few that jumped out at me. Do you have any personal favorites on the record or anything that jumps out at you?
That's kind of it's really weird. That's like someone coming up and going, which finger don't you want?
Yeah, true.
But those 3 that you mentioned are, it's funny, even here playing the record for my wife, we sat, we listened to it. Obviously she loves loves Light 'Em Up. She loves I'm Gonna Ride. There's a ton of the songs that she thought were really cool, but she goes, it's funny, like Back to Zero, she goes, it seems a little left for you guys. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, I don't know. It sounds, she goes, it's a great song. She loves it. It's one of her favorites on the record. But she goes, it's just weird. It's not so much the music or not the melody, the main melody that you're singing. It's the answer lines that kind of give it she goes, kind of gives it like an Alice in Chains vibe. And I was like, Okay, that's good. Pretty much on the ball. Everybody said the same thing, and it's really quite a simple song. I mean, a few people have asked what it's about, and it's just a phrase that my wife and I use to each other because if you're married, kids, no kids, whatever. In the beginning of any relationship, it's always great. Everything's fun. You can't wait to see each other. The sex is awesome. The sex happens 8 times a day. All the shit. But then eventually, as the relationship goes on, life starts creeping in, whether it's your job or your kids or just whatever it may be. And my wife and I, a lot of times, we just sit there and go, you know what? We need to get in the motorhome. Like I'll get home from a tour, and she goes, we need to reset or take it back to zero.
Right.
And that's just where we'll just actually I'm on my motorhome right now. I don't know if you can see this thing.
Looks like a ride, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a tour bus sized motorhome. But are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. You're a little frozen, but I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what just happened here. Let me see.
Main thing is I can hear you. But you're
all right. Where are we at? All right, hold on one second.
No problem.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
I just it's a new phone and I just touched something on it and the whole screen went black.
They get very delicate.
Yeah. So, back to zero is just a phrase that her and I use when we want to reset. Some people call it date night or whatever. We just take date weeks and we'll get on the motorhome and just kind of clear her head. She'll take off from work. I'm off from work, and we just go and just hang out, have some fun together. So that's what Back to Zero is about. It's just about we need a reset.
Doing your best not to think.
What now?
Doing your best not to think.
Yeah, exactly. And it's unfortunate, but it happens to probably every couple. You know what I mean? Whatever, I'm, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, guy, girl, whatever, it's like you get into these, life, my job sucks, and, or I need to meet this deadline or whatever it may be. So that's all that one's about. What was the other ones?
Back to Zero, Love That'll Never Be. That was a great track too. And Take My Soul.
I'll try and do this very quick, but
yeah, no worries.
Love That'll Never Be is a song that I actually kind of started writing with Marty. And I was going to do a solo record, and I released 2 songs, and then I kind of put a freeze on it because I can't figure out this newfangled streaming shit.
Yeah.
So I kind of held that song, and then once we started discussing doing a new Daisies record, I just kind of threw that one in, and I threw in the music for I'm Gonna Ride.
Oh, interesting.
I'm Gonna Ride was not finished. It was just, kind of an idea. And Love That'll Never Be was pretty close to finished, but it didn't sound like something the Daisies would do. So everybody loved the song. So we just got into a room. We actually pulled a couple of parts out of the song that we felt like, we don't really need that part. So, and we just kind of maybe dumbed it down a little bit, kept the lyrics the same, melody was the same, and then, just had the guys do what they do. Like Doug's slide work on it is just fucking awesome. And we were just kind of going for like an old 70s Allman Brothers, like, I don't know, Stonesy, Black Crowes kind of vibe. And I think it came out awesome. And the last one is it's a bit of a process. We actually started working on that music because, as I said earlier, we did the blues record. And every song that we did, we didn't want to do it like the original recordings. So we kept thinking, like, for example, Led Zeppelin did When the Levee Breaks. If you listen to the original, it's the same lyrics, same melody, but Zeppelin's version of music is just fucking brilliant. So when we were doing the blues record, we were playing around with the song Terraplane Blues. And we just kept fucking with it and fucking with it. And it just kind of kept getting so far away from the original that we finally listened to it. And Marty goes, dude, this isn't even close to the original. Like, this is an original song now. So we moved it over from the blues record to the original record. And then the more I listened to it, like, I kind of write lyrics. Like, I have to listen to the music and get a vibe from it. And then it's almost like, not to sound weird, but it's almost like I'll see scenes, almost like a video, like vignettes, you know? And I don't know why or where, but I just thought about this guy fighting another guy over a woman, and he kills her, or kills him, winds up going to jail, and spends the rest of his life pounding on a rock in a chain gang somewhere in the South. And it just tells a story. It's all made up. It's just
Awesome.
some sort of figment in John Corabi's imagination. And and then we came up with the chorus, "Take My Soul," just take me away. I don't want to do, I'm sorry. I know I did wrong, but I do not want to spend the rest of my days in a prison pounding on a rock.
That is brilliant. I appreciate the insight. That is just awesome. I was wanting to mention, because you were talking about Doug doing some awesome slide. Like, Doug is just amazing. I was lucky enough, pretty much a year to the day, to do an interview with Doug just before you had started the Best of run, including a date in Vancouver, which was the first time the Dead Daisies ever played Vancouver, which was awesome. And of course,
Which is weird.
Weird.
It's weird, but it's the first time I've ever played in Vancouver.
I was about to get to that, which is strange.
Never done a show. I lived in Vancouver for 8 months with Mötley. Never did a show there, ever. So I was like, yes, awesome.
Check mark, bookmark, bucket list done. It's
done.
What's going on? I hope it wasn't just a one-time offer, and hopefully in maybe 2025 we can have the Daisies come visit us again.
I love it up there, dude. And I was like asking everybody, I go, hey man, is the Roxy still there? Is that club, the Roxy, still there? And then, obviously there's, Orange Number 5 and the Marble Arch and all the cool little spots, but just certain restaurants and stuff that Tommy and I used to go to when we were up there. And what was the hotel we stayed at? Pacific Palisades.
Nice.
I don't even know where that is. Roberts Boulevard? Roberts?
Well, there's Robson Street.
No, maybe it's Robson.
Yeah.
Robson. I think that's where it was.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene in the movie The Dirt, the book, where the guys are like, Crab, you ever been with a hooker? And I go, no. And I don't know. We just went down there, and this whole big blown out nightmare.
Maybe you're thinking Richards then. That could be Richards.
Richards. That's it.
That's where they were. Yeah. You can do the little loop. Yeah.
We definitely got into trouble on Richards. Put it that way.
Yeah. And then you probably went over to Seymour.
I love that town.
Yeah. You probably went over to Seymour and then went to the Penthouse probably.
Well, actually, we went to Richards.
Okay.
We picked up a bunch of girls and brought them back to our hotel. And we sat there bullshitting with them for like an hour. And then this one chick goes, yeah, I'm going to need another $800. It was like $200 a girl. And it was me, Tommy, Nikki, and Snake Sabo from Skid Row.
Yeah.
And this big thing started, and Nikki was drunk, and he threw a bottle, and the girls ran for their lives out of the room. And I got him into a cab and got him out of there before Nikki was like, whatever. And then we sat on this couch, and Snake Sabo said the funniest thing. We're literally passing around one beer. We only had one beer left. And Snake goes, dude, what happened to us? And Nicky goes, what are you talking about? And he goes, 20 years ago, any one of us would have been able to pull any one of those chicks at any time for nothing. We just paid girls. That's how fucking out of date we are. We just paid girls $800 to talk to us for an hour. We're fucking losers. And we just sat there after all the shit. We just sat there, laughed our ass off, and then we all went to bed. We're like, fuck it. So
That's classic.
yeah, it was.
Vancouver memory for you.
Yes.
That's brilliant. Speaking of, and you mentioned Doug earlier, so to if I could touch on the record for just a moment, the Mötley album, just for a moment. During Misunderstood, you got Glenn Hughes doing some backgrounds. Were you in the studio during that period for that take? And
yes,
and with that, just kind of interesting how the chips fall in place that, nearly 30 years later, he's kind of your stand-in, shall we say, in the Daisies for
yeah,
it.
no, and it's crazy. Even when I kind of left the band, I left for personal reasons. You know what I mean? It was kind of silly, but not silly. It was weird. Very quickly, I had a solo band prior to this, so my son moved from LA to Nashville to play drums for me, and we were doing okay. And then August of 2014, I got married. And I joined the Dead Daisies like at the end of January 2015. We went down, we did Cuba, we went to Australia, we did the record Revolution. And then the band just kind of started taking off. And we were on tour with Kiss and Whitesnake, and then it was just, tour, home to a record, right back out on the road, home to a record. And so I had my son in one ear, you suck. I just moved to fucking Nashville to be in your band, and now I don't even see you. And then my wife, every time I would come home, she'd be standing in a doorway with a gun because she didn't recognize me. You know what I mean? Like kidding.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? I need to get off the carousel for a minute. And so I did. And then, I was out. I said, I can still go do acoustic shows and do stuff on my own, but work at my own pace, at maybe not such a hectic pace. And then I get these fans coming up to me like, hey, dude, fucking hear who the Daisies got on vocals? And I'm like, no, who? Glenn Hughes. And I'm like, well, fuck, I guess if you got to be replaced by somebody, why not rock the legendary Glenn Hughes, man, from Deep Purple, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. That's awesome. So, even though I wasn't in it, I was like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. I had to be replaced by who? Glenn Hughes. Awesome.
I guess you'll deal.
I can deal with that. I'm good.
But back to those recording sessions. So you were present during Misunderstood?
Yeah, dude.
When Glenn was laying down those tracks?
Yeah, we actually had all the tracks done, and I had done my lead vocals, and I don't know what we were doing, but I just remember Glenn just kind of popped by to say hi to us. And so we're just sitting around, took a minute, and, start bullshitting with him. And then Bob was sitting there with us. I don't know if Glenn left the room to use the restroom or whatever, but he's like, hey, would you guys be cool to like maybe have Glenn do some fucking vocals on this thing? And we're like, yeah, dude, fuck. Yeah, that'd be killer. So he came back in the room and Bob just said, hey, Glenn, do you want to maybe sing something on the record? And he goes, all right, mate, whatever. And I think Misunderstood was actually up on because back then it was still tapes and Pro Tools. We'd record on the tape and then transfer. And it was the coolest thing, dude. So Glenn, grabbed a notebook and a pencil. He went out into the thing. They got a mix for him in the headphones. And he goes, all right, run it. And he listened to it. And he kind of made some notes. And he goes, all right, we gave him lyrics. And he literally did one pass through. And then Bob goes, well, that was fucking awesome. Can you do it again? And he goes, sure. And we just literally took it back to the beginning and gave him a second pass through. And then Bob goes, he just looked at all of us, and we were all just sitting there dumbfounded.
Yeah.
And he just came in, he goes, is that good? Dude, fucking amazing. Are you kidding me? And he's like, all right, guys, see ya. And he left. And we're just sitting there like, the fuck just happened?
That's wild.
And it was just like a boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And but it's funny, a lot of people don't realize this. We actually did, can't remember the 2 tracks, but we had a song. It wound up being on a different record, but it was called Baby Kills.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to do like kind of a clavinet, like a Stevie Wonder superstitious part on it. So, it's Mötley Crüe. So they go, well, fuck, let me call Stevie Wonder. And they're like, yeah, boom. Oh, fuck, Stevie's out of town. They're like, well, fuck, who else could we get? And somebody, somebody went, Billy Preston. So they picked up the phone, and literally like 2 hours later, Billy Preston was in the studio with us. And he just, same thing, listened to the track, made some notes, and he just fucking played his ass off. There was something else we had him play on. I can't remember what it was. And then we just sat there for like another hour or two, like, hey, dude, do you still remember the solo for Get Back? And he goes, oh, yeah. Could you play it for us? And he just sat there. Even Bob Rock, we were all sitting there with our jaws open.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
Yeah, he played Get Back, and he played all this shit, and then he played that other song. Got a song that ain't got no melody. Boom, boom, boom.
Nice.
We'll go around in circles. He played
Perfect.
that for us, singing it, and we're like, fuck, this is insane.
Completely.
So it was a lot of cool memories from that fucking record, dude. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Quickly, because we're almost out of time. Any thoughts, anything to say about We Lost Jack Russell just over a week ago?
Yeah, dude. It's
just
weird. It's unfortunate. I was kind of shocked when I heard that. Somebody texted me and said, hey, man, Jack Russell died today. And I was like, fuck. So I went on Google just to make sure, before I posted anything. And then I just obviously posted RIP, but I did a show with Jack maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it was Jack, myself, and Ted Poley.
okay.
And I think it was in North Carolina, I believe. And it was really sad, like kind of freaked me out a little bit because Jack came in and he had like these literally like 2 crutches, and he just looked so frail. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Do you know what I mean? But I went on and I was looking at his autobiography, like Wikipedia stuff. And there was a couple things in there where he even said, like, yeah, I'm in the shape that I'm in right now because of all the drinking and all the partying I did when I was young. And it's such a shame because he was a fucking brilliant singer. Like the guy could sing like Zeppelin for days.
It's wrong.
It was amazing. And they were, it was wrong. One of the first bands I saw when I moved to LA was Great White. I guess they were in between record deals, and they were just getting ready to sign again with their new label. But they did a bunch of songs that was on the big record for them.
Once Bitten.
But it was they had done some records and then they got released or dropped, or maybe they left their label, and then they were writing and putting new music together for a new record.
Mm-hmm.
And they did some Zeppelin, and I just sat there like, I was like, holy shit, these guys are fucking great. And I, obviously being in Mötley and Ratt and the stuff that I had run into Jack a bunch of at different nightclubs or whatever, having a drink, and he was always super cool with me, very cordial, and we hung out and talked about a bunch of different shit. But that kind of bummed me out when I saw it. And it makes you think, like, fuck, we're all getting older, dude. We ain't getting any younger. You know what I mean? So
Do your best to take care of yourself, but still enjoying yourself.
exactly.
There we'll have it. We'll leave it at that because you got other things to do. I appreciate your time today, John, so much. And please, everyone, pick up the new Dead Daisies record on September 6th. Light them up. I've heard it. It's wicked. I think you'll really, really dig it. And don't forget about John's book here, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. It's a mouthful of a title, but it's a great, great read. And
Yeah,
John, you're awesome. And
thank you, brother.
Thank you for sharing the Mötley stories.
And I missed that Vancouver accent.
Awesome.